Okay, we're in our last, this is part 4 of the Tame Your Insulin module. We've gone into loads and loads, and I hope we haven't sort of bamboozled you too much. Kept it pretty basic, but in this final one, obviously, it's the one you've probably been waiting for, and that's like, okay, we talked a lot about why, but how, you know? So that's what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk first and foremost some big hitting things that you need to do in order to start controlling your insulin. First of all, most people know what the carbohydrates are, all right? Your body uses them as sugars. Okay, we need to be controlling or restricting our white carbohydrates. Like I said before, white bread, white rice, white pasta, potatoes, bananas, milk, sugar, flour. Anything that's kind of white is usually a starchy or simple carbohydrate, okay? And we need to be restricting that. Now, the first step is to half it. You know, if you have a sandwich, white bread, get rid of half the bread, you know, because what you're doing, if we imagine that we've got the whole of our meal, doesn't matter the size of it right now. Now, I would think that, you know, at this stage we're already starting to alter our portion sizes and all this kind of stuff. That if we have a sandwich with the amount of bread, the ratio of carbohydrates, protein and fats might be something like this, right? Might be something like this. Now, by ditching half the bread, okay, the ratio all of a sudden will be, you know, could be something more like this. You see the difference? So there's less carbohydrates compared to protein and fats. So the ratio is different just by ditching half the bread. Nothing to do with calories. You're shit about calories right now. It's about the way that the food spikes the insulin. The next thing we can do is that we can start to increase the amount of fats that we've got in there. Now, like I said before, you know, all foods will trigger insulin respond in some way, okay? But carbs most, and then protein, kind of the different types of protein, different levels and all this kind of stuff. But as a rule, we can accept that fats is not going to spike insulin as much as the other food groups. And if we increase it, okay, we're going to start to educate the body that we're constantly taking in fats, obviously good fats, not nasty fats. You know, the golden rule is, or a basic rule is, if it's liquid at room temperature, then it's usually a better form of fats than animal fats or saturated fats, which are solid at room temperature. The exception being obviously coconut oil. But okay, so we're already starting to change the thing. If we have like a baked potato that I mentioned before, we'll ditch half the potato, change the ratio, ditch half the beans. You know, start to change the way that this food is put together, and you'll start to reap the benefits. The next step, okay, the next thing that we really need to start to do is fruit. Fruit. Okay, fruit. You know, it's a form of carbohydrate, and your body, you know, although it uses it differently. You know, it's a different form of sugar. God, I'm terrible with this typing thing. It's still, you know, it'll have an effect on insulin. So start to, you know, reduce the amount of fruit that you're having. Think about it. You know, when we first start to lose weight, a beginner, we'll start to swap chocolate and sweet snacks for fruit. Well, that's fine, but it only gets you so far before we need to start switching to veg or you know, like strips of pepper or carrot or whatever, okay? So fruit. And then the next one, okay, that I would say is, yep, he said it. Oh no, the one thing you thought you could keep hold of, but you know, alcohol is a form of sugar, it's a form of carbohydrate. It's got no other use in the body other than energy. It doesn't bring anything else to us unless you have like a mixer to it, okay? So, you know, get rid of that. And if you want to make a difference now, here's 3 things that you can do. White carbohydrates, fruit, alcohol. Bang. Massively reduce them this next week. After that, really start to cut them down, okay? And you'll start making a massive difference. The next thing that I want you to think about is I want you to think about how you actually put your meals together. So imagine then that, like we said, this is our meal. Now most breakfasts in the modern world, unless you have like a full English or whatever, most breakfasts are really, really carb heavy. But what I want you to do is I want you to concentrate on having a balanced meal every time you eat. Okay, now it'll be slightly different for different people, whether you're a carb eater, protein eater, mixed eater, or whatever. If you haven't done the metabolic typing questionnaire, then you won't really know, and what I'm talking about probably won't make sense. But you know, it's in the Conquer Food community. We talk about metabolic typing, so you actually learn whether you predominantly should be eating more protein or carbohydrates, or whether you're a mixed thing. Okay, I'm not going to get too much into it now, but as a rule of thumb, we kind of want to be eating carbs, fats and protein every time we eat. Okay, now modern day breakfast usually really, really carb heavy. You know, if you think about your porridge, carbs, yogurt, carbs, you know, plus some fat, plus some protein, but predominantly, you know, it's insulin spiking, berries, carbohydrates, honey, carbohydrates, really packed with carbohydrates, you know. Then we have our lunch where we have a baguette or something like that, carbs, 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 sweet drink, fizzy juice, whatever it is, you know, usually, you know, smoothies. People have a lot of smoothies now, predominantly carbs, all right. Juices, predominantly carbs, you know, otherwise it tastes like shite and we can't eat it. Okay, so really, really carb heavy. So we need to be reducing this, and about 60%, all right, as a general rule, be slightly different for every person, should be carbohydrates. Okay, so what we say is about, if it's a meal, about a fist. If you're eating starchy carbs like potatoes, bananas, that kind of stuff, about a fist size. If you don't eat starchy carbs, you can have 2 fists, all right? So if it's a salad, if it's vegetables, you know, if it's broccoli, cabbage, you know, all that kind of stuff, then you can be having 2 fists. But, you know, that's kind of how we do it. Protein, you want to be about 30%. So whether it's chicken, fish, eggs, whatever, which is about palm size. Okay, it's about palm size bit of protein. Okay, and then fats is about the end of your thumb. So you need about 10 to 15% fats. Okay. So this is kind of what we're after here with that with our fats. So we've got a balanced meal every time we eat. Now I know in a minute you're going to be like, how do I don't know what all these things are, but as time goes on and the more you ask questions, you will learn. You will learn all this stuff is, and really what you're after is like 3 or 4 breakfasts that you know you enjoy and that work for you, 3 or 4 lunches that work for you, 3 or 4 evening meals, 3 or 4, maybe 5 snacks that you know are good for you, and then you kind of stick to them, and then, you know, we do that consistently, because it's what you do consistently that really, really counts. Then if you go out with your family, or you go out, and that's, you know, that's every now and again. Whereas what's happening right now is people are making healthy food choices every now and again and consistently eating crap. We got it wrong. We need to flip it. Okay, so I hope you get that. So that's dead basic. It's about eating a balanced meal every time you eat. Think about your snacks. If you have a piece of fruit, is that a balanced meal? No. Okay, we need to be at, you know, this is why, you know, if you can have a bit of fruit with half a dozen almonds, maybe a couple of rashers of turkey, or a couple of pieces of turkey or chicken, or a bit of fish. Maybe you have a plum with a couple of slices of ham, you know what I mean, and a couple of nuts. We try and get all them food groups together, because one thing we're doing is we're not eating solely carbohydrates, which obviously will spike. Bloody hell, I spelled carbohydrates wrong. Am I? No. Insulin. And 2, we're getting all the nutrients, vitamins and minerals we need, or certainly more than what we used to eat. And 3, because of the blend, because of the sum of the food that we're eating, it will control insulin a lot more. So that's, you know, a couple of ways where you can start to control insulin right now, from here on in. Okay, so let me know what you think. That's it for Tame Your Insulin. I knew it was going to be quite in depth, and I knew it was going to be at least, you know, 3 or 4 videos, which is why it's taken a while to get it done, but we got it done. Let the dust settle. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your big light bulb moments or your big takeaways were, and any questions you've got, share them in the Facebook group, and let's get them out there for everybody to benefit from. All right, but also I don't want you to sat at home thinking I'm bamboozled by all this, because you know I really want to make it as simple as it can be, because then if it's simple in its description, then it's simple in its application. Okay, and that's what we're trying to get. All right, so until the next module, take care.